Welcome, everybody. How you doing? Doug Barry here. I appreciate you being with me. Hitting a little video regarding what just happened yesterday at the time I record this with the AT&T cell phone outage. I'm sure many of you are very familiar with that by now. A lot of people have heard of it. Many people were affected by it. Some say hundreds of thousands of people were affected by it. Some say over 1 million were affected by it. I think in general, we've all been affected in one way, shape, or form by this power outage that AT&T was hit with. Now, it wasn't just AT&T, Verizon, T-Mobile also had to deal with this as well. But what really happened? Now we're getting different stories. I mean, there's some out there who were saying that it's an EMP type thing. Some said it was a solar flare. Some say it's a type of cyber attack. Some are, which by the way, the feds are investigating now, they say. AT&T has come out and said this is a coding issue regarding basically a software update. Now, we don't know exactly what this is. And in all honesty, it's going to be very hard to actually have any confidence in anyone actually telling us the truth about this kind of stuff. I get that. I understand that. Now, those of you who know me and know my work, I'm very adamant about the fact that we need to be better prepared spiritually and naturally for things that come our way. This is a perfect example to wake us up to the reality of it. Do we know exactly what happened? There will be those who will immediately accept what AT&T says. Oh, it was a software update. Oh, we get that. That's what it is. I don't necessarily 100% jump on board with that. All right, because there are people out there who are saying, well, we're not too sure we're going to continue to investigate it, such as some federal agencies. They want to know, Department of Homeland Security, all right, FBI and so forth. Why would they be doing this? Well, recently, we know the FBI has come out and said, and many other federal organizations, that we have had cyber attacks left and right. At the time I speak with you right now, we have pharmacies that are still backed up due to a cyber attack that hit a major healthcare, a piece of healthcare industry, which has affected pharmacies across the country, across the United States, and possibly beyond that, but at least in the United States, it's affected them filling people's orders for medicine, for medication. All right. And they say this was a cybersecurity problem. There was an attack. They themselves say they immediately shut down disconnected their situation, their services, because they knew this was getting out of hand. That is still ongoing right now. They're still trying to recover from that. We have had many months ago, 12 major airports, websites, all hacked simultaneously, including Chicago O'Hare, LaGuardia, Hartford-Jackson in Atlanta, and many others. Hospitals, over a dozen hospitals were hacked many months ago. This has all been going on. FBI has come out, spoke before Congress within the last 2 or 3 weeks and told them directly that they have seen hundreds of attacks, cyber attacks, hundreds of routers that had been taken over. And these attacks are coming in serious infrastructure areas, such as water treatment plants, power grid. Well, you can look at communications as another piece of critical infrastructure. People that were affected by this cell phone outage included people who simply couldn't call 911. All right, so you had emergency services saying, well, try to do it through a landline. How many people have landlines anymore? Try to do it through Wi-Fi. Some people don't even know how to connect their phones to make a Wi-Fi call. And even then, some people weren't able to do it. A variety of other situations such as that. But then you also had people who couldn't get to the airport. They couldn't make their flight because they couldn't call an Uber. They couldn't call a taxi and so forth. So you have a number of things that can affect our entire society when communications go down. Now, again, many people simply want to believe that it was simply an update problem. And if it's an update problem, like AT&T says, well, then once they fix that, we'll be okay, right? We'll be clear of the whole thing. I would put it this way. What we saw happen yesterday, something like that's going to happen again, even if it's something as simple as through a natural disaster, a storm of some sort. These are all pieces of our fragile society. Power grids go down, at least locally, when a serious thunderstorm comes through. You know, when Puerto Rico was hit with a hurricane back, I believe it was 2017 in that time frame, they had communications down and power down for weeks and even in some cases months. So a serious storm can even do something like this. Now, cyber attacks are different because cyber attacks normally point to an enemy of some sort that's trying to cause this sort of disruption. Christopher Wray, head of the FBI, did speak to the Congress and basically told them in very, very clear terms that China in particular is trying to create societal panic, quote unquote, trying to wreak havoc, quote unquote, in America. They've seen hundreds of cases where this sort of thing has happened, where they have gotten into different systems. They have planted malware. Now, I was speaking with someone recently who was an expert in this department. This is someone who sits in on meetings with all of these big organizations, from FEMA, all types of disaster relief organizations, all types of those even federal groups that are supposed to be protecting us from enemies that would seek to do us harm. This individual told me directly, these organizations all know that we are probably going to get hit in the very near future, weeks, months, at least within the year. This is what they believe in these meetings they talk about. And they are doing very little, if anything at all, to prepare to help the average citizen. America alone has an estimated 350 million people here. And that doesn't even include those that we don't know who are here from such a terrible display of border protection and border security. But with that many people in this country, and by the way, the problem with the border only exacerbates the issue when it comes to the reality of enemies who could easily have come into this country or who are already here, and other countries as well, and preparing and threatening some sort of attack. In fact, that's what the FBI Director Christopher Wray said to Congress, that absolutely they fear that we have had enough enemies come over the border. We believe that they're in the country, he says, and we believe that they're here to cause serious damage and serious problems. Very similar potentially to what happened in Israel on October 7th when Hamas entered there and created all kinds of destruction and havoc. Now, that being said, consider what China has been threatening when it comes to Taiwan, and China threatening even our country. Recently, an article on story on Fox News pointed out that Chinese nationalists who've come across this border into America are already taking up training measures, firearms training measures. In other words, military-style training. We have countless reports of these things. They have caught people coming across the border, the ones that they did catch, who were on terror watch lists. So this is part and parcel for where we are. So seeing what happens with AT&T and a cell phone outage, in all honesty, doesn't surprise me in the least. I expect this sort of thing to happen, not as a doom and gloom type of attitude, not a sky is falling type of attitude, but the reality that we have so much fragility in our system, very, very fragile. We're very vulnerable in many ways. And on top of that, we have many people across this country who are doing next to nothing to be better prepared. Now, Be Our Coalition, a group that I am part head of running and organizing with a great team of people, we have put together a course. Go to beourcoalition.com, check out what we have. It is a preparedness course. It is an emergency preparedness course to help you get ready, body, mind, and soul, in areas such as food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. Those 5 key categories: food, water, shelter, medical, and defense. We need these things in place. Go out to beourcoalition.com, and right now it's on sale. The course is on sale. We have a free EDC starter kit to throw in there. Go out to the website, beourcoalition.com, check that out, and get an idea of what we're offering. We want to help you get ready. All right. So that being said, go check that out, see what we have, but we need to be doing something. This is something that we're hearing even from the Butler County, Ohio Sheriff, Richard Jones. If you have not seen the reports from this particular sheriff speaking about the fact he just got back from a meeting in DC with hundreds of other sheriffs, they were briefed by the FBI and other federal agencies, and essentially were told the same thing that I was told by an individual who has sat in on certain meetings, and basically saying the same thing. This idea of an attack is for the most part imminent. And so cyber attacks are going to be part and parcel of the entire picture. You can expect more. You can expect these things to multiply. You can expect them in other areas of our lives, our critical infrastructure as well. And if people don't take the steps to be better prepared for themselves, then it's only going to find us in that potential societal panic. Imagine the water is shut off, or the electricity is shut off, or your phones are shut off for longer than half a day. Imagine you can't communicate with your kids. You can't communicate with your family. Let's say, as one person posted online, I can't even get across the big city that I live in without my GPS, without a potential car accident, or getting so bogged down in traffic that I know I'm going to be late. You know how many people out there, sadly, don't even know how to read a map. Everything is on GPS. This phone goes down, people will panic. My phone goes down, I have no GPS. I can't, jokingly, I can't take a picture of my lunch and post it on Facebook or Instagram. People, for very many reasons, are so attached to something like their phone, like their luxuries, their entertainment, and so forth, that when you eliminate these things, it's going to make people go a little crazy. And that's a dangerous thing. Now, you get to 48 to 72 hours, as I was told by my friend who is in this field of expertise. He says 48 to 72 hours is pretty much your window. When things start to collapse, he didn't say if, he said when they start to collapse. He says, Doug, you have about 48 to 72 hours to make certain decisions, where you're going to be, who you're going to be connected with. If we do not have those conversations in advance with people, if we don't create the communities, if we don't have the food, the water, the bug out bag, and by the way, USA Today actually has an article out today. USA Today, normally very, very liberal, has an article out that talks about the reality that the things that we experienced yesterday are probably going to happen again. And here are some things you can do, they say in the article, to get better prepared. And one of those things is have extra cash in case your ATMs go down or in case you can't get to the bank, because banking systems could have easily a cyber attack, just like a communication system could, a water treatment or a power grid could. So have extra cash on hand ready. How much? You're going to have to determine that. Pray about it, make some good decisions on it, but do it. In addition, the article in USA Today talks about having a go bag ready to go. Now, right away, some might be thinking, what's a go bag? What do I put in the go bag? Well, those are things that you can find information online. We offer all that information in our course, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course, BREP, we call it for short. brcoalition.com. I got to say that again. If you go out and sign up for that, you're going to get all this information and an enormous amount more. In addition to that, we got the free EDC starter kit that goes with it. EDC, by the way, stands for everyday carry. What do you have on you every day in case there's a crisis and you can't get home, you can't even get back to your car, or you've got to your car, but do you have a bag or any kind of materials in there? Do you have good footwear in the car? That's one thing I will offer. I say this all the time. Have good footwear with you all the time. All right. If you're going to church or going to work and you've got the nice dress shoes on, that's fine. But if all of a sudden you have to walk 5 miles, 10 miles, 2 miles, some of the shoes we wear would kill our feet. Well, what if grid goes down or gas stations are shut down? What if there's some sort of societal panic or disruption in a city, like riots where they're setting things on fire? As if that hasn't happened. No, we've seen that. Well, if I got to just change up my shoes, if I don't have them on, put on some good shoes and start walking because for some reason I can't drive, I want to have good footwear. So little things like that make a big difference if there's a crisis. I don't want to be a fearmonger here or doom and gloom because I don't believe that. I believe that however these things unfold, God will provide much for us, but God gives us a brain, and that brain should be involved beforehand. The first place that any battle is fought, any self-defense situation, any preparedness situation, the first place is always up here in the gray matter. That's where everything begins. All right. Our prayer life is absolutely essential. That's the foundation of everything. No question about it. But I can't just pray myself out of a problem. I always say if my child breaks his leg, I don't just pray over the child expecting God to heal the leg. I take the child to the doctor. Now I'm praying too, but I take my child to the doctor. That's called using ordinary means, natural means. That's what BRC Coalition is all about. That's what the BREP course, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course on sale right now, is all about. brcoalition.com. You can get information on that, get that free EDC kit, and get started on these things. But as we pay attention to these things in the news, as we see the Butler County Sheriff, and I did a video on that. You can check it out on my YouTube channel, my Doug Bear YouTube channel, or just go out and do a search. Butler County Sheriff Richard Jones press conference. He just gave this within the last couple of weeks. He is adamant that all of his cruisers now, all of his deputies, all of those that work under his authority will all have go bags in the car, he says. And he does say that. And they will have rifles with extra magazines. In other words, more ammo, more firepower to deal with the potential attack that he says is imminent based on what federal agencies are saying in the meeting that they had with hundreds of sheriffs across the United States. This is not a drill. This is about training and getting ready for things that are happening right now. things that are ongoing right now. We would be foolish to ignore these signs of the times. And I'm not even talking about prophecies from heaven. Those are out there as well. Let's focus mainly on what God is allowing us to see with our own eyes when it comes to something like a communications problem, whether it was a solar flare or some type of EMP. By the way, if it was a solar flare, you'd be thinking other communication problems, not just AT&T or Verizon and T-Mobile, but others would be affected, and other electronics and computerized parts of our technology would be affected as well with a solar flare. So it's probably something a little different. Software update, maybe a problem with that. And if it is just a software update problem, that's pretty serious to think that they can have that kind of a malfunction on a software update that can create this much trouble across the country, where you can't even use your phone to make an emergency call so easily. So let's don't just accept that without doing something on our own. Because the bottom line is, when you get in a position of any kind of disaster, natural disaster from tornado, hurricane, flood, blizzard, you're iced in on a road somewhere, the drifts are too high. We've seen these as well in natural disasters, right? All these things we talk about in brcoalition.com in our Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course, BREP for short. Go check it out. It's on sale right now. But what we find out that then is that in any situation, whether it's a natural disaster or whether it's a man-made disaster like war or cyber attack, whatever it might be, you might find yourself in a situation, in a position where no one's coming to help. No one is able to get there for whatever reason. Law enforcement is stretched too thin. You can't even make a call. You can't even tell them where you are and what's going on. Maybe we count on FEMA or National Guard or Red Cross to show up, or the Knights of Columbus are going to come rolling in and on their white horses. And you know what? That might not happen, in which case it would be left to you. And if you have loved ones under your care, then you have a responsibility, as do I. We all have a responsibility to do what we can, take the steps that we can in advance to be ready to try to care for those loved ones. It's not just about us. I have to do my best to make sure I can get home. I have to make sure I can be there for those that are counting on me. That goes back to even things like taking care of my health and exercising and so forth, because I want to be around. Isn't that what St. John Paul II says we should do? Make a gift of ourselves to others in this world, in this community, in this society, in our church, in our country. As an American citizen, I want to make a gift of myself to this country and to the people in this country. I want to be a well-grounded, spiritually minded, and prepared individual that can contribute to society in a way that actually is part of the solution, not the problem. And the better prepared I am, body, mind, and soul, more I can do that. Then people can count on me. They can rely on me. And I want the same for you. brcoalition.com. Go check it out. The course is on sale right now. You get the free EDC starter kit that goes with it. But as you pay attention to the news, and let me start wrapping it up with this idea right here. As you pay attention to the news and you see these more regular signs at the times, as we're seeing already go on, and we see the corruption of some individuals out there, and that's pretty abundantly clear. The fact that the border has been open like it has been for the longest time, and all the excuses that have been made, all the fingers pointing here and there, and all the cities that we see falling apart, and all the problems and the rise in crime and violence in different areas on just a regular day-to-day basis, shouldn't that be enough for us to take the steps to be better prepared right now, starting right now? So do something today. You way to finish this video, do something today to get better prepared. Spiritually, always rooted in that, but also on a natural level as well. For over 34 years, roughly now, I've traveled throughout the United States and other countries, and I've spoken to thousands, literally hundreds of thousands of people combined through TV and radio and live presentations, conferences, parish missions, you name it. And I have always encouraged them to be better prepared in these different areas. There is an unusually lopsided focus on the spiritual side when it comes to the areas that I've worked in. When I say lopsided, what I mean is we just seem to think that if we're just prayerful people, well, that'll take care of everything. Look, that's the root of it, being a godly person, man or woman, a godly man or woman. But it doesn't stop there. And that's in Scripture. That's in our church's teaching. We have corporal and spiritual works of mercy. Both are important to care for the soul and care for the body. Feed the hungry, you drink to the thirsty, shelter the clothed, shelter the naked, clothe the naked, shelter the homeless, forgive me, care for the sick, right? Visit the imprisoned, bury the dead. Those are all physical things that we're supposed to be taking care of. You could include in that obvious things such as protect the innocent, those who are being threatened or attacked, step up and defend them, all kinds of things we can see from there. That's our job, body, mind, and soul, to be better prepared. BRCoalition.com gives you some great information through the BREP course, the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. It's on sale right now. Go check it out. EDC free, EDC bag, great piece of equipment to get you started. But again, as you watch these things in the news, know that they're most likely going to continue to get worse. Remember the words of even Senator Marco Rubio, who said after the AT&T outage yesterday, he posted, this is bad, sure. But then he said in so many words, now I'm paraphrasing a bit of what he said, a cyber attack from China will be 100 times worse. It'll be your power, it'll be your water. And if those things go down, you can expect a domino effect of problems that will cause great desperation, great panic in a lot of people. The better prepared we are, spiritually and naturally, far less likely will we fall into that desperation and that panic. Let's do our part, each and every one of us. Let's be better prepared. I appreciate your time with me right now. I hope and pray you will share this information with others. I hope and pray you will check out brcoalition.com. Help other people be better prepared. That is one of the most Christian things we can do in this world, most charitable things, is help people be prepared, help them learn skills, help them know how to take care of those situations that they have to, especially if they realize that no one is coming because the situation, the circumstances are so dire, if you will. We don't want to be in that situation where we don't have a plan. Now, I'll leave you with this. Hope is found when you have a plan of action in the face of any crisis. God bless and strengthen you. I look forward to seeing you again soon, and I hope we see you in the Be Ready Emergency Preparedness course. Take care.